Vol 1ch, 11. The next morning, under the care of the maids, Rosvitha donned the formal attire of the dragon clan, which she rarely wore. She adorned herself with a silver crown, a long dress, earrings, a necklace, and a bracelet. Even her makeup took the maids 2 hours to perfect. Meetings among the Dragon Kings were always highly valued. Firstly, each Dragon King had their territory to guard, and casual movement could lead to leaks and potential invasions. Secondly, with their long lifespans, they had plenty of opportunities to meet, unlike humans who needed frequent family gatherings. It had been a long time since Rosvitha had seen her sister Isabella. The last time was about a year ago, on the day Muin was born. She didn't really want Isabella to see Leon and Muin. Her sister was intelligent enough to figure things out eventually. Too much contact could reveal unintended clues. While Dragon Kings of their level didn't meet frequently, precautions were still necessary when they did. Rosvitha didn't want the news of her union with a human and their daughter to spread. It would be explosive and disruptive for the entire dragon clan, which was surprisingly similar to humans when it came to gossip. Sigh. Rosvitha closed her eyes, dismissing the chaotic thoughts in her mind as she stood before the full-length mirror. She looked more polished than usual, though she wasn't particularly sensitive to beauty, including her own. She rarely acknowledged someone's outstanding appearance, except for her sister Isabella's beauty. At the thought, a sudden memory stirred in Rosvitha's mind. He's indeed a tough and handsome man. The scar is simply the perfect touch to this face, she had said to herself 2 years ago, right after defeating Leon. At that time, Leon was already on the verge of death, and Rosvitha felt he had no ability left to resist. As a result, with a snap, the baby was born, Rosvitha said to herself in her heart. In this light, considering Rosvitha wasn't sensitive to beauty or handsomeness, it was surprising that she could compliment an archenemy on his appearance. HMPH, it's just a taunt from the victor to the defeated, Rosvitha said. Everything is ready, Your Majesty. You can now go to the temple and wait for Her Majesty Isabella, said the head maid Anna. Yes, I'll go check on Muin first. Very well, Your Majesty. Rosvitha walked slowly towards Leon and Muin's rooms. This time, she actually knocked on the door first. Soon there were hurried little footsteps inside the room. It was clearly Muin. Muin tiptoed, reached for the doorknob, gave it a gentle twist, and the door lock turned. Good morning, Mother Tilda. Good morning, Muin. Mother, you look so beautiful today. Dad, come and see. Mother looks super beautiful. Leon lay on the bed in a big shape. When he heard Muin calling him to come and see the beautiful mommy, he didn't budge. What was his status, and what was Rosvitha's status? Even if she dressed up as a beautiful mother dragon, it was all a facade. Only the career of a dragon slayer is real. The familiar sound of high heels tapping on the floor echoed as Rosvitha, holding Muin's hand, entered the bedroom. I dressed up today, can't you at least look at me, Leon? Mother Dragon should watch her tone and attitude. When Muin wasn't around, she would happily discuss me to death. Pretending to be so pitiful and helpless, did she really think she could fool me? Childish. Critiquing in his mind, Leon reluctantly sat up. After all, Muin was indeed here, and the child was innocent. Leon had to cooperate with Rosvitha to maintain this family. Sitting up, Leon looked up at the silver-haired beauty in front of him. In an instant, the stagnant pool that was Leon's eyes lit up. Rosvitha took off her casual home clothes and put on a formal gown. The layers of the skirt were distinct, and the accessories were varied but not overly complex. Her silver hair was coiled at the back of her head, revealing Rosvitha's fair swan-like neck and delicate, straight collarbone. The long dress showcased her figure, clearly tailored for her. The soft and appropriately sized chest was well contained under the tight fabric. There was no overt vulgarity, nor was there any stingy simplicity. Dad. Dad's look, even Mom has captivated your attention. Muin's shout brought Leon back to his senses. He shook his head, intending to say a few tough words like, it's just so-so. But objectively speaking, at this moment, Rosvitha could definitely be considered a top-tier beauty. Yeah, good-looking in the end, Leon gave his assessment. Very brief, just like the countless compliments Rosvitha had heard before. Good-looking, beautiful, peerless beauty, all the same. Rosvitha smiled faintly, instinctively categorizing Leon with those who had complimented her in the past. Yeah, she responded, turning to leave. Hey, wait a moment, Leon suddenly called out to her. Rosvitha half turned, what's the matter? Leon leaped off the bed, walked up to Rosvitha, grabbed her arm and brought her to the mirror. Under Rosvitha's slightly puzzled gaze, Leon raised his hand, tidied the strands of hair near her ear, and tucked the falling silver hair behind it. Then, he compared the position of the silver crown on Rosvitha's head, adjusting the angle slightly. When walking, don't casually turn your head. Try to rotate from your waist. Otherwise, the silver crown might be a bit tilted, Leon advised. Rosvitha's pupils slightly dilated, and a complex emotion rose in her heart. In the past, those who complimented her never detailed her shortcomings as meticulously as Leon did, and yet she had just categorized this guy with those people. Yeah, I understand. Rosvitha lifted the neckline of her dress, asking, "Is it better now?" Leon nodded, "It's fine now." Rosvitha chuckled and teased, "Didn't expect you to be so meticulous. How many times have you helped women with their clothes before?" Leon's hand measured in front of Rosvitha's chest, but he didn't dare actually to reach out and adjust the neckline. Leon looked down at the little dragon mom. A donkey is somewhat like a dragon, 2 ears, 1 tail. When it's unhappy, it makes a couple of sounds. "Goodbye, mother. I'll listen to dad," obediently Tilda. Yeah, Rosvitha left the room. Muin eagerly pulled Leon back into the bedroom, sat on the edge of the bed, and then climbed onto his lap. Leon wanted to hold her, but usually when carrying a child, it's done by supporting the back or the waist. However, Muin had a tail on her lumbar spine, making it a bit challenging for him. In the end, he could only gently support her back. Dad, what exactly is a donkey?" It's a very stubborn creature." "What does stubborn mean?" "Just like your mom." "Oh, tilde, mom is a stubborn donkey." The little dragon mom was quite on point, and Leon was delighted. "Exactly, mom is a stubborn donkey. Say it again, Muin." "Mom is a stubborn donkey." Yeah, that's right. Dad is also a stubborn donkey. Muin is a little stubborn donkey." "Good girls, you're really quick to catch on." Vol 1ch, 12. After Rosvitha left, Leon freshened up quickly and began to pass the time with Muin in the room. Either teach her to read and recognize characters, or continue playing the game of Dragon Knight with her. But after all, a room was just a room. No matter how creatively she played inside, it was not as enjoyable as playing in the garden. Muin quickly felt bored. Leon wasn't particularly good at comforting children, so he opted to tell Muin stories. The father and daughter leaned against the head of the bed. Muin nestled in Leon's arms, and Leon started reading from a book titled Complete Stories for Young Dragons' Enlightenment. The first story, How to Slay an S-rank Dangerous Species, the Ironclad Yak. Leon was shocked, and when he saw the title of this story, he couldn't help but sarcastically comment in his mind. When did slaying dangerous species become an enlightening children's story? Was this how dragons enlighten their little dragonlings? In the human world, this was the kind of stuff that was written in execution manuals after graduating from the Dragon Slaying Academy. Leon thought for a moment and felt that this might not be suitable for Muin, so he turned to the second story. If using high-level fire magic to bake satisfying smoked meat. Was she looking down on magic, or was she just valuing smoked meat too much? Feeling that this story might challenge his own views on magic, Leon switched to the third story. How the great dragon race has developed to today. Although Leon remained skeptical about the great dragon race, it was still better than teaching a child how to slay dangerous species and make smoked meat. The little dragon girl was already dozing off, and the hand that had been gripping Leon's shirt slowly loosened. Leon placed the storybook aside, carefully released Muin's hand, then pinched the blanket's corner and covered her gently. For parents, having a child fall asleep was the luckiest thing. This meant that Leon could have some of his own private time. He walked to the balcony of the room and looked down into the courtyard, noticing that there were more guards today than yesterday. It seemed they were preparing for a more elaborate reception, probably for Rosvitha's sister. If this were in the past, hearing that 2 dragon kings were about to meet would have lit up Leon's eyes with excitement. Who cared about being a dragon king? They were practically walking piles of achievements. Unfortunately, time have changed. She didn't even mention ambushing a dragon king. If anyone asked Leon to sneak up on Muin, she would just shake her tail and say, "Dad, stop it. You're making Muin's tail itchy." What could be done? All that was left was to wait for the body to heal slowly and then seize the opportunity. Considering Rosvitha's revenge frequency as a mother dragon, Leon felt that it would take him a long time to get his body back to normal. Thinking about this, Leon couldn't help but feel a bit itchy with resentment. Damn mother dragon, I won't surrender. Even if his body was drained, Leon was determined to stir up trouble. He had already figured out how to torment Rosvitha last night. He planned to use the opportunity of her meeting with the Red Dragon Queen today to make her experience the ultimate frustration. Leon brought a small chair and sat on the balcony, silently waiting. As noon approached, the doors of the Silver Dragon Temple slowly opened, and Rosvitha, escorted by maids, walked towards the entrance. Walking towards him was a woman Leon had never seen before, well, more precisely, a mother dragon. She wore a red gown, her long hair flowing, and a crimson tail trailing behind her, even longer than Rosvitha's tail. Leon remembered that dragonologists said the longer the tail, the older the dragon. Of course, this phenomenon applied only to dragons under 500 years old. Suddenly, Leon's mind went off on a tangent to another question. What was Rosvitha's age according to the previous intelligence? 200 and something, around 200. Tusk. She was over 200 years old and still looked like she was in her 20s. He must ask his master's wife how she managed to take care of herself so well. Leon shook his head to clear his thoughts and continued to watch the two dragon kings in the courtyard. Rosvitha embraced her sister Isabella, who responded with an enthusiastic hug. After a brief exchange, they walked to the pavilion in the courtyard, engrossed in conversation. It was quite a serious conversation. A mischievous smile played on Leon's lips. Sorry to keep you waiting, Your Majesty the Queen. He slowly closed his eyes, lifted his right hand, and gently placed it on the dragon emblem on his chest. Meanwhile, under the pavilion, Rosvitha and the Red Dragon Queen Isabella sat facing each other. Isabella raised her gaze and looked at the guards beside her, saying, "You can go down for now. I want to have a private chat with my sister." The guards left, leaving only the two sisters in the pavilion. Isabella affectionately wrapped her arm around her sister's shoulder. "I missed you so much, my dear sister. Haven't seen you in a year, and you're looking so rosy." "Oh, really, it's okay. I heard that harmonious marital life is beneficial for a woman's complexion, Zyro Luo. Could it be that your secretive and feeble husband has awakened?" Isabella teased, inquiring about her sister's gossip. When she smiled, a small fang would be revealed, giving her a mischievous and adorable look, a strong contrast to her dignified role as the Red Dragon Queen. This quirky appearance didn't quite fit the image of a dragon leader over 200 years old. On the other hand, Rosvitha, although much younger than Isabella, displayed a more mature demeanor, but the two sisters were very tolerant of each other's personalities. After all, they had been together since childhood. "What hidden marriage, sis, don't make fun of me." "He's awake now. Recently, he took Muin to the mountains for training. It will be a few more days before they return." "Oh, I see. It's a shame I won't even get to see the little princess." Isabella sighed and then continued. "But seriously, Zyro Luo, why did you marry a completely unknown dragon king? He's not even willing to show his tail." "Well, everyone has their preferences. He's very low-key and introverted, won't casually provoke other male dragons and cause trouble for me." As she said this, even Rosvitha herself felt it was quite insincere, introverted and low-key. Leon, where in the world could he find those two adjectives? He would gladly cut down Rosvitha with a sword. As for provoking other male dragons, he might as well chop down other dragons on his way to chopping down Rosvitha. "All right, it's your private matter, and I can't control that. Let's stop the small talk here. I came this time to talk to you about the matters of the Crimson Flame Dragon King, he." "Hiss." Rosvitha suddenly furrowed her brows, involuntarily holding her chest and covering her heart with her right hand, as if feeling uncomfortable. Isabella quickly asked, "What's wrong? Where does it hurt?" "No, it's nothing, sis. Please continue." Rosvitha suppressed the reaction of the dragon emblem on her chest, adjusted her expression, and smiled at Isabella. Although she maintained a calm exterior, in reality, Rosvitha was cursing Leon inwardly for his antics. She knew that when Leon asked last night, "Is it important to meet your sister?" he definitely had an ulterior motive. Therefore, she emphasized that Leon wasn't allowed to come out of the room to disrupt her meeting with her sister. But she didn't anticipate that Leon could use the dragon emblem engraved on him. When one of the parties with the dragon emblem starts to miss the other, the dragon emblem reacts. The so-called missing certainly wasn't just about missing, it also included desire. Damn dragon slayer, he has absolutely no shame to disgust me like this. Rosvitha forcibly suppressed the agitation in her body, forcing herself to appear calm. Seeing that her sister was fine, Isabella continued with the conversation. The Crimson Flame Dragon King Constantin is planning to expand his territory recently, and he... Rosvitha completely ignored what Isabella said next. Before Leon, she had no experience with romance, let alone matters related to dragon emblems. She had never expected the resonance between dragon emblems to be so intense. Her tail began to curl involuntarily, her legs slightly clenched, and she continuously bit her lips and swallowed saliva. Constant Zyro Luo, are you really okay? Your face is all red, Isabella asked with concern. Regardless of their usual antics, Isabella was genuinely concerned when it came to her sister's health. Rosvitha forced a smile. No, it's nothing. Oh, please wait for me a moment, sis. I need to attend to something, probably for about 20 minutes. Okay, go ahead. Do you want me to accompany you? No need, sis. All right. Rosvitha stood up, suppressing the heat and excitement coursing through her body, and walked towards the temple. Vol 1ch, 13. Rosvitha burst into the room, scanning for the scoundrel's presence. Lifting the hem of her long skirt, she searched every corner of the room. In the bedroom, Muin was sound asleep. Meanwhile, Rosvitha spotted Leon at the small table on the balcony. There he was, sitting calmly, holding a teacup in one hand and a book titled Complete Collection of Enlightening Dragon Tales in the other. He leisurely sipped tea and earnestly read the book, seemingly oblivious to Rosvitha's hostile presence. It wasn't until Rosvitha walked onto the balcony, closing the door behind her, that Leon seemed to realize and opened his mouth suddenly in apparent realization. You seem quite leisurely here, Leon, Rosvitha said. Leon set aside the teacup and the storybook, stood up and asked in confusion, what's wrong? It was a deliberately feigned ignorance. Leon knew that his actions would lead to such consequences, so when Rosvitha confronted him, he was already prepared. What's going on? You can't possibly not know what's on your mind, she questioned. I want to go home, Leon replied straightforwardly. Nonsense, the dragon mark reacted just now. Don't play dumb with me here, Rosvitha retorted. Not only just now, but even at this moment, the dragon marks on their chests still emitted a faint purple glow. Dragon marks would uncontrollably evoke emotions between the two, so despite the stern confrontation between the two, what they truly felt was known only to themselves. However, Leon was prepared to stick to his guns. What does the dragon mark reaction mean? He asked. Playing dumb, huh? I already told you that night, when one person starts missing another, the dragon marks resonate. Intentionally triggering this resonance now, you want to embarrass me in front of others, don't you? Rosvitha accused. Leon observed Rosvitha's embarrassed, angry and anxious appearance. Despite his calm exterior, he was secretly enjoying the situation. This was exactly the effect he wanted. Anyway, he was like a dead pig not afraid of boiling water. No matter how she asked, he wouldn't admit it. Leon opened his mouth, intending to retort against Rosvitha, but inexplicably, the words he had planned to say transformed into, "Why are you being aggressive towards me? Don't you have faults too?" Hiss. Although this was a form of retort against Rosvitha, why did it come out sounding so helpless and wronged? Leon was puzzled. He had initially prepared more aggressive words, so why did it turn out like this when he spoke? However, looking at Rosvitha's face, which was full of astonishment and confusion, the impact of that statement seemed quite effective. Her vertically slit dragon pupils were filled with disbelief, and accompanying this surprise was a gradually spreading blush on her face. The blush was subtle, but against her fair skin, it appeared particularly noticeable. It even extended to the tips of her ears. Wait a minute, this didn't seem right. She came here with the intention of dealing with him, but why hadn't she acted yet? Instead, he seemed to have outwitted her with just a few words. Making statements like, "Don't you have faults too?" It was really shameless. Saying such things as a defeated captive is truly shameless. Rosvitha comforted herself in her mind, planning to say something more to mock or ridicule Leon. However, the reaction of the dragon mark became increasingly intense. Her heartbeat accelerated uncontrollably, and the more she looked at the scoundrel in front of her, the more pleasing he seemed. She was almost losing control of the dragon race's innate reproductive instincts. She furrowed her brow, knowing that if she continued to delay, 20 minutes wouldn't be enough to finish things. Taking advantage of the fact that the dragon marks hadn't completely burned away her last bit of rationality, Rosvitha gave Leon a cold glance. "You're lucky, Leon. If there's a next time, I won't let you off the hook," she declared. "Oh, I'm so scared." "Disgusting." Yeah, I feel disgusted." Rosvitha snorted coldly, lifted her skirt, and walked quickly towards the exit. "Be quiet, Muin is sleeping." "Who asked you to care?" Thud. Rosvitha slammed the door shut, and the sound of her footsteps gradually faded away. Confirming that Rosvitha had walked far enough, Leon finally breathed a sigh of relief. "Phew, I knew it. Once the dragon marks react, it temporarily lowers the reasoning of that dragon. Just casually say a few sincere words and she believes it." Normally, Rosvitha would never have let it go so easily, just because of Leon's seemingly sincere words. Her vengeful nature was exceptionally strong. If Leon played with her like this, she would definitely retaliate. However, the resonance of the dragon marks forced Rosvitha's brain to release hormones and dopamine, making it difficult for her to think absolutely calmly in the short term. Therefore, she fell into Leon's trap. Leon also accurately targeted this aspect, therefore he dared to be so reckless. Of course, if his risky move backfired, it wouldn't matter. His goal had already been achieved, disgusting Rosvitha. Leon was about to take a seat, but the dragon marks on his chest still felt warm, causing him to furrow his brow. He raised his hand to soothe the restlessness of the dragon marks on his chest, but instead, he felt an uncontrollable and intense heartbeat in his palm. "The dragon marks will make both parties involuntarily develop emotions towards each other," he muttered, recalling the scene with Rosvitha. He wondered if his smooth words, tinged with a hint of green tea fragrance, were something he would normally say. Certainly, he had deceived Rosvitha with those words. But had he also deceived himself? Half-truths and half-lies were the most convincing, even to the deceiver themselves, he realized with a slight tremor in his pupils. He leaned against the wall, closing his eyes slightly, forcing himself to clear out the jumbled thoughts in his mind. Meanwhile, Rosvitha hurriedly left the temple, heading towards the pavilion in the courtyard, still feeling the reaction of the dragon marks. Covering her chest, she couldn't help but think about Leon's innocent expression and his words with a hint of green tea fragrance. As a woman, she could sense a hint of that fragrance in his words. But even so, she couldn't stop herself from thinking about what he said. She never imagined that the dignified Silver Dragon Queen would be so restless over a simple sentence. If this got out, it would surely be embarrassing. In her haste, she quickly descended the temple stairs, feeling a bit of relief as she distanced herself from the awkwardness of the temple. Her somewhat panicked appearance caught the attention of a maid nearby. "Your Majesty, she looks really strange," one maid remarked. "The last time I saw her this nervous was at the victory banquet 2 years ago," another added. Your Majesty," the maid called out. "What's wrong?" Rosvitha stopped in her tracks. The maid nodded slightly, asking, "Your Majesty, you look a bit unwell. Are you sick?" Rosvitha quickly shook her head. "No, I'm fine." "All right, Your Majesty, please take care of yourself." I know, you can continue with your tasks." Rosvitha continued down the steps, feeling the conflicting emotions of a dragon's nature and a woman's desires twisting inside her. Without fully sorting out her thoughts, she returned to the pavilion in a daze. Isabella looked at her somewhat confused and blushing sister, asking, "It seems like you've secretly done something naughty without telling me." Rosvitha pursed her lips, avoiding eye contact, but finally gathered the courage to ask her sister seriously, "Sis." "Yeah. Am I very fierce?" "Huh?" Isabella seemed puzzled. As soon as Rosvitha uttered those words, she immediately realized that she shouldn't have asked, so she quickly changed the subject. "Oh, it's nothing." Isabella frowned slightly. What on earth could make the Silver Dragon Queen so flustered? Could it be, "Wait, what is that?" Isabella pointed at Rosvitha's chest. Her dress already had a somewhat low neckline, and earlier, Leon suggested she pull it up a bit. But with all the commotion, the neckline had slipped back down. What Isabella was pointing at was precisely the corner of the dragon mark on Rosvitha's chest. Rosvitha glanced down, then quickly covered it. "It's nothing, sis, you must have seen it wrong." Isabella smirked, revealing her small fangs. "Dragon, pattern, his young people play quite recklessly. It seems like you and your husband indeed have a good relationship." Rosvitha pouted, somewhat disgruntled, and defended herself. my relationship with him isn't really that great, sis. Isabella lazily leaned against the back of the chair, smiling as she asked, I know most Dragon King's unions are for the sake of benefits and the clan, with little room for love. But for you and your man, getting married at warp speed and having a child just as fast, the relationship should be quite good, right? Getting married and having offspring doesn't necessarily mean the relationship is great. As for him. Risvitha's pupils flickered as she continued, there's not a hint of excitement for him, not now, not in the future. Isabella knew her sister too well, but since Risvitha was so certain, Isabella chose to comply with her. All right. Anyway, take care of yourself and take care of the little princess. Yes, I will, sister. Well, let's continue talking about Constantin. That guy has been quite active lately. But Risvitha was still somewhat absent-minded. She felt the gradually fading warmth in her chest. Clearly, the reaction to the dragon pattern had already begun to subside, so why couldn't she help but think about Leon and recall the scene just now? Risvitha frowned slightly, biting her lower lip. Damn dragon slayers, they still haven't been disciplined enough. Vol 1ch, 14. In the evening, there was a commotion in the courtyard. Leon held Muin and stood on the balcony, looking down. The Red Dragon Queen left the temple under the escort of the guards. Today's visit could be considered over. It's Aunt Isabella Tilda, little Muin pointed to the queen in the red dress. Are you familiar with Aunt Isabella Muin? Leon asked. Muin shook her head. No, Muin has only seen Aunt Isabella in the family photo in Mom's room, but Aunt Isabella wears all red, so she's easy to recognize Tilda. Family photo? Do you dragons also have family photos? Yes, it was taken with Mom, Aunt Isabella, and Great. Well, before Leon could fully grasp the concept of a dragon family photo, Muin came up with another surprising statement. On Risvitha's family photo, there was only her sister and her grandmother. What about the other dragons? Did they all pass away? Just as Leon was lost in his thoughts, Muin coquettishly said, Daddy Tilda, let's also take a family photo when we have time. Oh well, sure, no problem. Yay Tilda, Daddy's the best, Tilda Muir Tilda. The little dragon girl gave a firm kiss on Leon's face, and her tail was practically reaching for the sky. Leon's heart was also feeling quite content. In the days to come, tormented by Risvitha, his daughter, a hybrid of human and dragon, was probably his only solace. The father and daughter chatted, and then they heard a knock on the door. Leon put Muin down, took her hand, and went to open the door. Outside was the head maid, Anna. Your Highness, the princess's dinner is ready, Anna said. Oh, let's go then. Leon was about to lead Anna out of the room as he spoke, but Anna raised her hand to stop him. Sorry, Her Majesty the Queen has instructed that you cannot leave this room. We have brought your dinner to you. Anna waved her hand, and another maid brought a portable meal box to Leon. Your Highness, this is ordered by your mother. Please don't make it difficult for us, Anna said respectfully. Okay then, Daddy. I'll come back to you right after I finish eating, Muin nodded. Leon nodded, okay. He suddenly realized that little Muin was a very sensible girl. Even though she was still just a child, she had some whimsical ideas and requests. But as soon as she heard kind words from others and started negotiating, she immediately lowered her demands. She seemed to dislike causing trouble for others. In this aspect, she is like her dad, Leon thought proudly. The maids took Muin away. Leon also carried his food back to the room. He didn't sit at the table, he just casually sat on the floor beside the bed. He opened the meal box and the aroma filled the air. Presumably, someone must have specifically studied human recipes. Leon had heard before that dragon cuisine mainly consisted of the meat of various wild animals and dangerous species, with little to no vegetables. But his dinner had both meat and vegetables, and the combination was quite good. Leon sighed with relief, picked up his fork, and started eating dinner. After a moment, the door opened. Leon leaned over from the bed, thinking Muin had returned. But what he saw was a pair of silver high heels. Instantly, the smile on the old father's face faded. He withdrew his head and continued picking at the remaining food in the meal box. Risvitha took off the silver crown on her head and casually placed it aside. Then, she removed the necklace, earrings, and other accessories one by one. Seeing Leon sitting on the floor, eating by the bedside, Rosvitha was momentarily surprised but remained silent. She fetched a chair, sat in front of Leon, raised her long legs, leaned against the back of the chair and looked down at Leon. As she raised her legs, the high heels on her delicate feet wobbled and, as expected, fell to the ground with a clatter. Leon held the meal box, hesitated for a moment, but ultimately couldn't endure the condescending and disdainful gaze of Rosvitha. He gave in, ate the remaining food, and then placed the meal box aside. "What are you doing?" Leon asked. "Is it delicious?" "It's all right." "I'm asking if it's delicious. Answer either delicious or not, don't tell me all right." Fine, this dragon mother's temper was as changeable as the weather in June. Leon pursed his lips, not wanting to be too insincere for the sake of appearances. He answered, "Delicious." "Is the meat delicious?" Leon frowned, not answering. Rosvitha chuckled, supporting her face with one hand, tilting her body slightly, and lazily asked, "Do you know what kind of meat that is?" Leon's heart trembled as if realizing something, a wave of nausea hitting his stomach. With her daughter not around, she had plenty of ways to torment Leon. Rosvitha looked at his expression, unable to hide her amusement. "Boring," Leon lowered his head, unwilling to look at her, but Rosvitha wasn't about to let him off so easily. With that, Rosvitha exerted a bit of force, pressing her foot against Leon's neck and pinning him to the bed. Then her fair toes traced a path from Leon's neck to his chest, down to his abdomen, and continued downward. Leon reached out and grasped her slender ankle. "What are you doing?" she questioned. "I not only want to get angry, but I also want to ignite." "Take your hands off," he retorted through gritted teeth, unmoving. Rosvitha's voice turned stern as her tail, which had casually rested behind her, lifted slightly. "I told you to take your hands off, Leon." A wise man avoids unnecessary losses, Leon thought silently. Leon slowly released his grip, and Rosvitha continued moving downward. Her intention was as Leon had suspected when the Dragon Mother extended her foot. He should have anticipated what she wanted to do when the Dragon Mother extended her foot. If he had known, why bother eating dinner? He could have just bitten it directly. He had eaten trotters from pigs, cows, and sheep, but had never tried dragon trotters. Regardless of the trotter, it was too late now. Leon lifted his arms, gripping the sheet tightly behind him, tilting his head back to ignore the magical sensation. But it was impossible to ignore. Rosvitha's jade foot was warm and soft, and her toes were agile. She seemed to enjoy this unconventional play. "How many dragon corpses have you stepped on before, boasting about your glorious achievements?" the queen asked, laughing. Leon remained silent. "HMPH, you've surely never imagined that one day you'd be stepped on by a dragon, right?" "So what do you feel now?" she asked with a severe tone. Leon remained silent. "Tell me, Leon, what do you feel?" She applied a bit more force, and Leon groaned in pain but remained silent. "If you won't talk, endure it," she declared. Leon instinctively moved his hand, but Rosvitha swatted it away with her tail. "Keep your hands to yourself, did I permit you to touch?" she reprimanded. Leon turned his head away, remaining silent. Approximately 10 minutes later, Rosvitha snorted coldly, lowering her eyes to look at her jade foot. "So dirty, Leon, see, it's all because of you." "Why did you make it so dirty now, HM?" Leon was speechless. "Fine." Leon silently stood up, filled a basin with hot water in the bathroom, and returned it. "Too hot," Rosvitha said. "How do you know it's too hot if you haven't put your feet in?" Leon asked. "I said it's too hot, so it's too hot. Go and get some more." "Why don't you have any sense, woman? Do you dare to reason with a woman? Moreover, I'm not a woman, I'm a dragon." Leon was speechless. This was a sin. He had to go and fetch another basin of water. "Too cold. Mother Dragon, are you done yet?" Rosvitha suppressed a smile, not behaving. "Do you want to go through it again?" Leon hesitated momentarily, then immediately went to fetch another water basin. "Well, this time is just right, start washing." Leon supported the sole of Rosvitha's foot with one hand and poured warm water onto the top of her foot with the other. He cleaned the dirty stuff on the top during the first round, and during the second round, he fetched another basin of warm water and washed both feet together. It was not that Leon was proficient in foot washing. It was that these requests were all from Rosvitha. The more Leon thought about it, the angrier he got, and the angrier he got, the more he thought. He lifted Rosvitha's foot, looked at this delicate and small jade foot, and slowly brought it close to his mouth. I can't bear it anymore. Rosvitha panicked, instinctively retracting her foot. Wow, what are you doing? You're not planning anything disgusting, right? Eating dragon claws raw. Huh. Oh my god. The Silver Dragon Queen, enduring the intense pain from her ankle, gritted her teeth and exclaimed, Leon Casmode, I damn well cursed you. The next morning, Muin stared with her bright eyes at this unfortunate couple. Mother, why do you limp when you walk? Rosvitha. Daddy, why is your face all bruised? Leon. Muin blinked her eyes, then suddenly realized, oh, you guys must have played some fun games without telling Muin, right? Vol 1ch 15. During the day, Rosvitha had virtually no free time. As Anna, the head maid, mentioned, Rosvitha reviewed all matters concerning the Silver Dragon clan. It wasn't until 7 or 8 in the evening that Rosvitha could finish a busy day and rest. Therefore, the responsibility of taking care of the child during the day naturally fell on Leon. In addition to playing games with Muin, Leon didn't neglect her cultural studies. Leon's idea was as follows. Good daughter, even though we are currently living under someone else's roof, surviving under the watchful eye of that mother dragon every day, there will come a day when Dad will take you away from here. It's okay to be a mixed-blood little dragon girl, but you must be a cultured one. This statement was what the master said to Leon back in the day. However, the master's original words were a bit too rustic. Leon, it's okay to be an orphan, but you must be a cultured orphan, the master said. Leon almost knocked the master's false teeth out after hearing this. Thinking about the master brought a bitter pang to Leon's heart. It had been 2 years since he joined the Silver Dragon clan, and he had probably been listed as a sacrificed martyr by the Empire by now. The master said Leon was the most promising child he had ever seen. When Leon was young, the master was convinced he could become a great dragon slayer, shining brightly on various battlefields. Leon indeed lived up to the master's expectations. He became a widely acclaimed dragon slayer, a hero passed down through generations. Even beyond shining brightly on the battlefield, Leon also shone brightly in the bed of the Silver Dragon Queen. Leon endured humiliation, considering this a mission to infiltrate the enemy territory and bear humiliation in his heart. He believed that someday he could escape with his obedient daughter. But before formally escaping, besides caring for his own body, he had to continue winning over Muin. His little dragon daughter was the key to his escape. In the room, Muin sat on Leon's lap, holding the dragon hatchling's enlightening stories. Leon's thoughts stirred slightly, showing some hesitation. Human-dragon hybrid, human-dragon hybrid. Since you're a hybrid, can't you learn some human knowledge instead of always focusing on dragon lore? At least learn something about humans. Give your father some face. Leon took the storybook from Muin's hands and set it aside. Little Muin, would you like to hear stories from other races? Muin's eyes sparkled at the suggestion, nodding eagerly. Yes, yes, Daddy, tell me. How about Daddy telling you a story about humans? Muin blinked and then shook her head. Leon was shocked at why. Mother said that humans are a shameless bunch of idiots who, when not being watched, do some very despicable things. Especially that thing they formed, the Dragon Slayer army. It sounds quite scary. Leon contemplated Muin's words. The name Dragon Slayer army sounded intimidating to the dragon race. From another perspective, if Leon heard that a powerful foreign race had formed a human slayer army, his first reaction would probably be fear. But what did shameless idiots and very despicable things mean? Was she accusing and blaming humans here, Mother Dragon? Leon looked at Muin's little face. She seemed serious, as if she firmly believed what Rosvitha had told her. He sighed. The Mother Dragon got ahead of him. Trying to win over the little dragon's daughter would be challenging. Daddy, I want to continue listening to yesterday's story. In the room, Muin sat on Leon's lap, holding the dragon hatchling's enlightening stories. Leon sighed with a touch of helplessness, but continued patiently explaining to Muin. Yeah, it means, Muin, you shouldn't look at things from a single perspective. Try to approach them from different angles. You might discover something entirely new, Leon explained. Muin pondered, her little tail swaying thoughtfully, but Muin has never seen humans before, so she has no idea what their other side looks like. Sweetie, the one holding you right now, is 100% pure-blooded human. Leon sighed with relief. Sure enough, a real daughter was a real daughter, so obedient Tilda. Next, Leon shared many classic stories and legends from the world of humans with Muin. Muin listened with great interest. Of course, Leon didn't forget to emphasize the concept of dual nature. Currently, Muin's impression of humans was mostly based on what Rosvitha told her. So Leon couldn't just start by saying, "Your mom is giving you a stereotypical impression, listen to your dad and you'll be right." Leon had to proceed gradually, slowly changing Muin's impression of humans. This would make it easier for them to escape in the future. Before lunch, Leon roughly explained the meaning of duality of things to Muin and gave a few examples. He hoped that she could comprehend a bit from it. Muin sat on Leon's lap, playing with the tip of her tail, quietly contemplating. Leon, not in a hurry, gently stroked Muin's hair, patiently waiting. After a while, Muin suddenly lifted her head. "Dad." "Yeah. You said everything has two sides." "Yes." "Then what about our dragon clan?" Leon was startled. Dragon clan." Yeah, Mother said that in our dragon clan, strength is revered. A dragon starts striving for strength from birth, and sometimes to become stronger, they may even pay a considerable price, even the cost of life. Leon's pupils flickered slightly, thinking that Rosvitha adorned the dragon clan's inherently brutal and bloodthirsty nature as reverence for the strong. Muin continued, "Dad, do you think there might be many dragons who don't like getting stronger? They just want to live quietly." "It probably won't, after all." Mid-sentence, Leon suddenly remembered that Rosvitha had previously mentioned that cute was a derogatory term for dragons. There are so many broken rules in your dragon clan, Leon thought. Just as Leon was thinking about what words to use to praise his obedient daughter, there was a knock on the door. He carried Muin to open the door. It was the head maid, Anna. "It's lunchtime, Your Highness. Please entrust the princess to me for a while." "Okay." Leon handed Muin over to Anna. Reluctantly, Muin extended her arms. "Dad, will you still accompany Muin in the afternoon?" Leon nodded, "Of course." "Good, it's a promise then." "Yeah, it's a promise." Anna left the room with Muin. Leon breathed a sigh of relief and turned towards the balcony. He looked down at the courtyard, where Rosvitha was discussing something with a dragon guard. As if noticing Leon's gaze, Rosvitha turned around, lifting her head to look at the balcony. Leon didn't avoid her gaze. He just stood there, responding to Rosvitha's gaze. The former dragon slayer and the proud and aloof Silver Dragon Queen engaged in a gaze where one was higher and the other lower. The gentle breeze brushed through the leaves, and the midday sunlight warm as if in a lover's embrace. Vol 1ch, 16. Except during Revenge, Rosvitha rarely initiated conversations with Leon. Of course, Leon was too lazy to seek her out actively for a chat. In the eyes of outsiders, they might be a couple who respected each other, leading a busy yet harmonious married life, but only they themselves knew what hidden under the surface of this harmony was. Leon and Rosvitha gazed at each other for a while, neither speaking up. Rosvitha had no intention of wasting more time, so she turned around to take her leave. "Hey!" Leon's voice suddenly came from above. Rosvitha stopped, turned back and looked up. "I want to go out for a walk," Leon said. "Staying in the house all the time is suffocating." As soon as the words were spoken, Rosvitha appeared outside the balcony. She flapped the dragon wings behind her, hovering in the air, with her long silver tail hanging down to maintain balance. Leon was startled, thinking he might have said something wrong again and upset the dragoness. "You can only leave this room when you're playing games with Muin," Rosvitha said coldly. But won't Muin find it strange?" "What's strange?" "Her father only goes out when playing with her, spending the rest of the time in the house. She's bound to be suspicious, right? Dad isn't feeling well and can't go out casually. That reason is sufficient." "You've thought it through quite thoroughly." "Play the role of a good dad, don't think about or do anything else, understand?" Rosvitha said coldly. Leon shrugged and didn't respond. He didn't feel like asking Rosvitha anything else. he didn't have anything else he wanted to ask Rosvitha. Going for a walk had become a luxury, so what else was there to discuss? Leon waved his hand, turned around and walked towards the bedroom. Watching Leon's slender and lonely figure, Rosvitha's pupils trembled slightly. A fleeting expression of something other than indifference crossed her cold eyes. "Leon," she called after him. Leon halted, half turning back. "What?" "Muin will come to you in the afternoon. You need to teach her how to write her name." Leon frowned slightly, and then, "In the evening, I will check her learning progress. If she has learned it, you can walk with me in the garden tomorrow for an hour." Leon blinked, seizing a keyword, "walk with you." Rosvitha was slightly surprised, but she didn't show much panic. She continued calmly, "Don't misunderstand. I just want to keep an eye on you. You're quite cunning. If it were someone else, they might let you escape." Leon chuckled. How hard can it be teaching a kid to write their name? "I didn't say it was her name," Rosvitha said. "She has to write the names of our entire family, including mine. Obviously, you're her dad." "All right, it's a promise, no backing out." Rosvitha snorted coldly. "I don't need to promise you anything, Leon." "Mother Dragon, you're truly hard to please." Rosvitha ignored Leon and flew away. Leon also withdrew his gaze and walked towards the inner room. But after taking only 2 steps, he suddenly realized a very serious issue, immediately rushed back to the balcony, and shouted down to Rosvitha. "Hey, Mother Dragon, you haven't told me your last name yet." Leon Kazmode. "Hiss, what a twisted name." While Leon complained, he wrote his and Rosvitha's names on paper. Then he added below Muin Melkvi. In fact, he originally wanted to tease Muin a bit, making her think he shared Leon's surname. But the thought of Rosvitha discovering his little scheme in the evening worried him that he wouldn't escape unscathed. So he tried his best not to provoke the mother dragon over such matters. Therefore, in the afternoon, he taught the little dragon girl to write these 3 names. Generally, human infants start to learn some basic literacy skills around the age of 3. However, a dragon girl born from the union of humans and dragon blood should be more intelligent than normal children. So teaching her these basic skills when Muin was a little over a year old posed no issues. Thinking about this, Leon couldn't help but marvel at waking up precisely at the right moment. If he had woken up a bit earlier, Muin wouldn't have been walking yet, and he wouldn't be so tired. If she woke up a bit later, Rosvitha would probably seek someone else to teach her some basic knowledge, and Leon wouldn't have to take care of the child every day. It was hard not to suspect that the mother dragon calculated the timing of his awakening when rescuing him. Leon shook his head to clear his thoughts. He looked at the 3 names he had just written and contemplated how he would teach Muin to write them later. Melkvi Melkvi. Although it was a bit tricky to pronounce, Leon, as he chanted, connected some dots. Melkvi, O tilde, so it's a transliteration of Milky Way. Unexpectedly, the dragons had a bit of romanticism regarding naming. Thinking about this, Leon couldn't help but marvel at waking up precisely at the right moment. "Muin, what's wrong?" The little dragon girl gave him a disdainful look, ignored him, slammed the door shut, and walked away. The stubborn footsteps gradually faded away, leaving Leon alone in the messy entrance. After regaining his senses, Leon approached, wanting to open the door to see what was going on. But as soon as he stepped, the door panel was pushed in from the outside. "Dad, are you okay?" Muin ran over in concern and helped Leon up. Worried, Muin ran over and helped Leon up. Leon was left dizzy by the impact, but fortunately, his master had taught him the adamantine body technique in his youth. If he could withstand crushing boulders on his chest, could he not withstand a door panel from his little dragon daughter? A momentary dizziness was all. After a brief moment of recovery, he was fine. "Sorry, Dad, Muin hurt you." The little dragon girl pinched Leon's sleeve, expressing her distress. Leon was dumbfounded. She had just said Leon couldn't touch her, and it hadn't even been a minute. How did things suddenly change? Could it be? Is the genetic flaw in human dragon hybrids a split personality? Vol 1ch, 17. Leon sat at the table with Muin's support. Muin raised her little hand, gently rubbing Leon's nose bridge, apologizing sweetly. "Sorry, Daddy, Muin didn't mean to." Muin didn't expect a gentle push on the door to send Daddy so far away. She pouted, her warm eyes gleaming as if she would cry if Leon didn't forgive her. Does Daddy still hurt? Muin will blow on it for you, and it won't hurt anymore, Tilda. Leon lifted Muin onto his lap, wiping away the warm liquid from the corners of her eyes. It's okay, Muin, don't think too much. Daddy's fault. I couldn't even handle a simple wooden board. In the future, Daddy will exercise more and try to resist better. Muin laughed and wiped the corner of her eye. As long as Daddy's not hurt, it's good. Leon smiled and pinched Muin's little nose. All right, let's go, Tilda. He made a gesture like turning a page in a book. Let's turn this over and forget about it, okay? Muin squinted and smiled, softly responding, okay, Tilda, Daddy is the best, Tilda. With that, Muin hugged Leon's neck and kissed his cheek firmly. Leon, pleasantly surprised by the affection, couldn't help but have some additional thoughts. Why did it feel like being charmed by his daughter? 5 minutes ago, don't touch me, idiot. 5 minutes later, Daddy is the best, Mua Tilda. Sigh. Dragons were truly creatures that were hard to understand. Daddy, what are we going to do this afternoon? This question caught Leon off guard. He picked up the paper on the table and pointed to the contents. In the afternoon, Daddy will teach you to write these 3 names. How about that? Learning to read and write was a new and interesting thing for Muin. She nodded, yes, Daddy, teach me quickly. Didn't Mom teach you before? Leon asked casually while preparing paper and pen. Mother said to wait until you woke up and let you teach me, hee Tilda. Damn. Mother Dragon should have a name, Laziness. Muin grabbed a small stool and sat next to Leon. Leon first taught her the proper way to hold the pen. Muin quickly grasped it and could hold the pen steadily after a few tries. Then, Leon began teaching her from the stage of recognizing characters. Don't press too hard or you might pierce through the paper. Take it slow, don't rush. Muin's understanding was also good. With a little guidance from Leon, she could replicate his name following the same pattern. Great job, Muin. Now, let's move on to memorizing the stroke order of the letters, Leon said. Is there a specific order for that too? Muin thought you just needed to write them. Of course there are rules. Without rules, there's no order. If there's no prescribed order, it's not writing, it's drawing. Leon patiently explained, with a prescribed order, the letters you write will look better, Muin. Okay, Tilda, I got it, Daddy, I'll practice hard. Let's continue. Leon began teaching the stroke order of the letters. At first, Muin couldn't help but write whichever stroke she found easier, but with Leon's patient correction and natural aptitude, she quickly wrote the name, Leon Casmode, beautifully. Leon was satisfied with her progress. Next, they moved on to practicing Rosvitha's name. Her name posed a bit more difficulty. However, perhaps due to the buff from Mother Dragon, Muin practiced with extra diligence. When practicing Leon's name, she used 3 pages of paper, but when practicing Rosvitha's name, Muin used a full 7 or 8 pages. Leon looked at the table full of paper and said softly, You really like writing your mom's name so much. You keep practicing, Daddy needs to use the restroom. Oh, okay. Muin blinked her pretty eyes. At a young age, she couldn't understand the meaning of being jealous. But she could sense that Daddy seemed to care about the different page numbers of her paper practice. So, while Leon was in the restroom, Muin quietly picked up her pen and started rewriting Leon's name. In no time, she practiced many more sheets of Leon Casmode. 1, 2, 3, 11 sheets. Daddy, Muin wrote 11 sheets of your name. When Leon returned, Muin happily held up the 11 sheets of paper for him to see. Leon was momentarily surprised and his heart warmed. He said, Good girl. You're truly a little cotton-padded jacket, understanding your old father so well. You're 1,000 times better than your stubborn donkey mother. Leon embraced Muin's small face and affectionately rubbed it. Muin's chubby cheeks were squashed flat, but she was very happy. It seemed like the first time Daddy initiated such intimacy with her. All right. Let's practice the last name, which is your own, Muin Melkvi. Isn't Muin your name? Leon blinked. Could it be that we have different understandings of Muin? No, it's a middle name. Muin has a middle name. The custom of having a middle name is quite common among the descendants of the imperial family in the empire. It often took the surname of someone who married or was adopted into the royal family. It also represented the royal family's respect for that person, acknowledging their status within the royal family. Leon didn't expect that this custom also existed within the dragon race. No, it's a middle name. Muin has a middle name. Leon pursed his lips, a bit unclear about what the mother dragon was thinking. Shaking his head to clear his thoughts, he said, "All right, Daddy understands. Let's start practicing your name." When writing her name, Muin was also very serious. Her name was pronounced like moon, and it was also easy to spell. Not everyone was like that mother dragon Rosvitha, given such an awkward and tongue-twisting name. Leon was even worried that in the future, during the passionate moments of resonance due to their dragon marks, he might accidentally call out the wrong name. Done practicing, Daddy, how does it look? Leon looked at the paper. Muin's handwriting was neat and the strokes were consistent. For a child, it was already excellent. He patted Muin's head satisfactorily. Muin, you're amazing. You've learned the names of our family so quickly. Muin was momentarily stunned, then shook her head. No. If we're a family, then we're missing one. Leon's heart skipped a beat, and the smile on his face suddenly froze. A family still missing one. Thinking back to the grumpy version of Muin he encountered at noon. So there was only one truth. Leon couldn't help but swallow hard. So it turns out I wasn't just passionately captivated from the beginning, but also a double shot. Vol 1ch, 18. Leon's thoughts drifted back to a few days ago. It was his first time accompanying Muin to play. In the temple corridor, he encountered a little girl who looked exactly like Muin, but she had an icy expression and ran away after a glance at Leon. Then at noon, he met the indifferent version of Muin again. This time, although they communicated, it wasn't pleasant. Leon thought he might have gone insane from 2 years of sleep, or perhaps Muin had some sort of personality split. So it turned out it was another daughter. So Muin, you mean you have another sister? Muin shook her head. Not a sister, she's my big sister Tilda. Leon, with a thoughtful expression, made a sound of acknowledgement, and then immediately asked for the name of this well-hidden elder daughter. So, what's Muin's sister called? Neue Tilda's sister is called Neue Tilda. It's a homophone of the hero's name in the myth of the dragon race who saved the world. Neue, Leon lowered his head, repeatedly savoring the name. Rosvitha was quite skilled in naming. She placed high hopes on the elder daughter, wanting her to become a hero like those in mythology. The pronunciation of the youngest daughter's name was derived from the moon, surrounded by stars, a precious gem in the palm. Daddy, can you teach me to write my big sister's name? Muin said. All right, Daddy will write it first, and you can imitate, okay? Great. As Leon spoke, he picked up a pen and on a blank piece of paper, earnestly wrote down Neue's full name, Neue K. Melkvi. Neat handwriting, elegant strokes, and a personal touch could definitely be called beautiful handwriting. Of course, it was excellent. During the 3 years when Leon was lying in the hospital with a broken chest from Master Daishi, and only his hands and neck could move, he practiced calligraphy out of boredom. Wow, Daddy writes so beautifully, Muin's eyes sparkled. Leon smiled. Muin, you'll be able to write so beautifully soon, too. Yeah, Daddy, can I keep this? I want to show it to my sister tonight. She'll definitely like it. No problem. Oh, by the way, Muin is your sister, not easy to get along with. Recalling the 2 encounters with Neue earlier, the little girl either ran away upon seeing him or treated him with a cold demeanor. Neue is not like Muin, warm and obedient, Leon wondered. No, not at all. Big sister is really nice. She takes Muin to pick and eat fruits, helps Muin tie her hair, and when Muin gets into trouble, Big Sister even takes the blame for her. Her dad, don't tell Mother. Actually, it was Muin who accidentally dirtied her dress before. Of course, Leon wouldn't betray the trust. He patted Muin's head. No problem, Daddy will keep it a secret for you. Thank you, Daddy. So your sister Neue is actually a pretty nice person, right? Yeah, maybe she was a bit shy when she first met Daddy. Leon nodded. In that case, there shouldn't be any issues. It turned out the elder daughter's attitude towards him was just unfamiliarity. Leon initially thought she was some kind of young dragon version of Rosvitha. Just dealing with a stubborn mother dragon was challenging enough for Leon. If there was another one, he might consider jumping off the temple on the spot, but it turned out to be a false alarm. Thinking about it, Leon's mischievous thoughts started bubbling up again. He had already figured out how he would playfully tease the overbearing mother dragon when Rosvitha came in the evening. "Daddy, why are you laughing?" Muin asked. "Ah, nothing. Come on, Muin, let's practice your sister's name." "Yes, okay." Muin obediently practiced with Leon for the entire afternoon. The little dragon girl's aptitude was indeed good. In just a few hours, she learned to write Daddy, Mommy, Noya, and her name neatly. In the evening, after a busy day, Rosvitha came to Leon's room. "Mother, Your Excellency Tilda." Seeing Rosvitha, Muin excitedly ran over, hugged Rosvitha's small leg and looked up at her. "Good evening, Mother." Rosvitha reached down to pat Muin's head. "Good evening, Muin. Have you learned to write your name now?" I learned, and not only can Muin write her name, but also Daddy and Mother's names," Muin proudly said, her childish face full of the expression of seeking praise. "Well, good job," Rosvitha replied. "Ugh." For the slightly stingy praise from Mother, Muin certainly wanted more. Sitting on the floor, leaning against the bedside, Leon said leisurely, "Muin has really worked hard. Praise her a bit more, won't you?" Rosvitha glanced at that guy, for some reason, feeling that Leon suddenly had a kind of overconfident self-assurance. She withdrew her gaze and looked down at Muin by her side. Her daughter blinked her watery eyes at her, almost writing the words "Mom, praise me quickly" on her face. Rosvitha slowly squatted down, holding Muin's shoulders, and said with a smile, Muin is really amazing. So as a reward for Muin for dinner tonight, I'll make your favorite pan-fried steak, okay?" "Okay, Mom's steak is the most delicious." "HMPH, I thought you were quite traditional," Leon teased. "Why are you sitting there so leisurely, Leon?" Leon shrugged. "You asked me to teach our daughter to write names. I taught her. Why can't I sit down and rest for a while?" "That doesn't mean you're done just because you said so. Muin, come over and write, let me see." "Okay, Tilda." Muin climbed onto the chair, took a piece of paper and a pen, and earnestly started writing the names of the three people. Rosvitha stood silently on the side, watching. The daughter's handwriting was elegant and neat, quite impressive for a child. It seemed that Leon had some skill in teaching children. Leon, seeing this, stretched his neck for a glance, and then stood up and walked over. Standing on either side of Muin, Leon and Rosvitha gave off a couple of vibes. However, Leon, leaning over, wasn't able to create a couple of moments with Rosvitha. "Finished writing." The three names were neatly written. Rosvitha nodded in satisfaction. "Well done, Muin. Now." "Hey Muin, is there someone's name missing?" Leon, with a hint of a smirk, feigned a puzzled expression. Oh right, one is missing." Rosvitha's expression, initially carrying a bit of a smile, instantly turned cold at these words. She glanced at Leon and found him looking at her with a triumphant expression. "Since we're writing the names of the whole family, we should include everyone to make us look neat and loving, right, Muin?" "Dad is right." "Then quickly write little Noya's name too." "Yes, yeah." Rosvitha observed the father-daughter interaction with a slight squint. "Little Noya, has Muin told you?" Finally getting the chance, Leon nodded eagerly. "Yes, indeed. I must confess, I've been awake for a week and only just learned my eldest daughter's name." Rosvitha remained silent, anticipating Leon's next words. Quietly observing his performance. "And Rosvitha." "Yeah. I also feel deeply guilty towards you." Suppressing a smile, Rosvitha asked, "Guilty about what towards me?" Leon feigned anguish, saying, "Giving birth is already a tough task, and I never imagined you'd go through it twice for me. You've truly endured a lot. When I return to the Empire someday, your name will surely be inscribed in our family history, Rosvitha." If he was going to provoke, he might as well go all the way. After all, the outcome of provocation was always the same, so why not be a bit more ruthless? Seeing Rosvitha remain silent, just staring at him with a cold gaze, Leon speculated that he had breached her defenses. So Leon pressed on, saying, "Speaking of which, Rosvitha, it's been so many days, and you haven't mentioned this matter. Are you so amazed by my robust health and abilities that you've forgotten?" "How could one forget such a significant event?" Leon was clearly insinuating that Rosvitha deliberately concealed the truth due to guilt. But Rosvitha showed no change in expression and calmly replied, "It's all for your good, Leon." "For my good?" "Yes. I'm doing fine. I already have a pair of lovely twin daughters. What could go wrong? So when do I get to meet Noya formally?" Rosvitha raised an eyebrow. "Are you in such a hurry?" "Meeting my daughter, of course. I'm anxious." Rosvitha chuckled. "All right, don't regret it." "Regret?" Humph didn't joke around. Immature mother dragon quickly brought the eldest daughter here. Vol 1ch 19. Rosvitha prepared a family dinner. Not only did she reward Muin with her favorite seared steak, but also took this opportunity to let that dragon slayer, who didn't know the heights of heaven and earth, get to know his beloved daughter. Rosvitha all personally cooked the dishes for the dinner. Her culinary skills were impressive. No wonder Muin was so eager to enjoy her personally cooked seared steak. After busy work for about an hour, a table full of rich dinner was ready. Rosvitha took off her apron and looked towards Leon at the side of the dining table. His face was filled with impatience and eagerness. "Muin, go call your sister to come and eat." "Okay." Muin hopped off the chair and happily ran out of the room. Rosvitha sat at the head of the dining table, holding a small hair tie in her mouth. She lifted her hand, reaching behind her swan-like neck, and tied up her silver hair. Finally, she secured it with the hair tie. After tying her hair, Rosvitha noticed Leon was still looking at her with a mischievous expression, so she asked, "What's the matter?" Feeling regretful for not witnessing the birth of our two daughters, Leon sighed. Facing Leon's teasing, Rosvitha smiled lightly. "It's okay. If you really want to see me give birth, we can." Leon's face froze. "We can. We can have more children, actively plan for another child, maybe even a second. There's really no need." HMPH, fool. This HMPH, fool, sounded exactly like Noya's tone at noon. After exchanging a few words, the door lock echoed and two footsteps slowly approached. "Dad, Mother, I'm here, big sister." With the innocent voice of a child, two identical dragon girls entered through the dining room door. Black long hair, silver highlights, and luxurious little dresses paired with delicate white stockings. Their features and height were identical. If there was one visual difference, it would be Muin's antenna on her head that would stand up or lie down based on her mood, which Noya didn't have. Of course, besides the antenna method, you could also tell who the older sister and the younger one were from their facial expressions. Muin liked to smile, always smiling with a cute and sunny expression. On the other hand, Noya always kept a serious face, like a little adult. "Good evening, Mother," Noya said respectfully. "Yes, introduce yourselves. This should be your first formal meeting," Rosvitha said. "Yes, Mother." Noya's cold gaze slowly shifted towards Leon. "I am the eldest daughter of the Silver Dragon Queen Rosvitha, Noya K. Melkvi, 1 year and 2 months old." Her choice of words was quite refined, completely unlike the tone and demeanor of someone her age. Well, considering Leon's only point of reference for someone of their age is Muin. Her way of speaking and gestures were worlds apart from Muin's. "Leon, don't you want to introduce yourself to your daughter?" Rosvitha said. "Oh right, sorry." Leon cleared his throat, walked up to Noya, half crouched down, maintaining eye level with her. "Hello Noya, I'm Leon Casmode, your dad." Noya looked into his eyes and calmly replied, "Noted." "Raid." Leon was stunned. "Raid, what does that mean?" Why did it feel so awkward for a 1 year and 2-month-old girl to use such formal language? When had a daughter ever responded to her dad with such an abstract phrase as "noted"? Finally, before Rosvitha burst into laughter, Muin leaned over to Noya, tugged at her sleeve and whispered, "Sister, say a little more, say a little more. Don't make Dad feel awkward." Noya glanced at her sister and solemnly said, "Children should not interrupt adults when they are talking." Muin pouted, played with her fingers, and silently stood behind Noya. "Clap, clap." Rosvitha suppressed a smile, clapped her hands and said, "All right, introductions are done. Let's eat." Noya led her sister to the chairs by the dining table. Even though neither could reach the chairs, Noya lifted her sister, letting her sit first. Then she went to the adjacent chair, put her hand on it, pushed, and with a kick, she got onto the chair. Rosvitha looked at the still somewhat dazed Leon and asked, "Why aren't you at the table? Can't you eat any more?" Leon snapped back to reality and sheepishly returned to his seat. Rosvitha occupied the head of the dining table, while Leon sat across from his two daughters. On the table lay a dinner meticulously prepared by Rosvitha. Muin couldn't wait to dig into the pan-fried steak on her plate, but before she could start, Noya intervened. Noya, with a poker face, picked up a napkin from the table and earnestly placed it around Muin's neck. "Hold the knife in your right hand and the fork in your left. Don't forget this time, Muin," Noya instructed. I won't forget, sister," Muin replied. "All right, go ahead and eat," Noya said. Leon quietly observed the scene across the table. Despite being dismissed by his elder daughter earlier, he couldn't deny that this little one seemed much more mature than her appearance suggested. Whether this maturity was intentional or innate, her performance exceeded Leon's expectations. Now let's look at Rosvitha. She seemed accustomed to all of this. The early maturity and responsibility of her elder daughter seemed expected. The three of them began to enjoy the steak, and Leon picked up his fork to taste Rosvitha's cooking. The steak was perfectly seared, with delicious and tender meat. Taking a bite, the aroma gently wafted into his nostrils. "Sister, I can't cut it," Muin sought Noya's help. Noya nodded, took the knife and fork from Muin, and helped cut the steak. The thumb also needs to exert force. I got it," Muin said. "All right, go ahead and eat." After cutting the steak, Noya returned the fork to Muin and looked at Rosvitha, asking if she needed help cutting hers. "No needs, thank you," Rosvitha replied. "All right." Leon looked up at Noya, wondering if she would help him too. Coincidentally, Noya was looking at him. Leon felt a bit amused. Was his daughter also asking if he needed help? He waited to see her response. Noya opened her mouth. Leon's expectations were high. She opened her mouth again. Was she feeling embarrassed to say something? "It's okay, everyone is family, and we'll get more comfortable as we talk." "Come on, say it, my good daughter," he said. "No need for you," Noya said. Leon wasn't blind, he could see clearly, but before he could react, Noya suddenly sneezed. "Achoo!" Noya immediately pulled out 2 napkins. "Sorry, mother, couldn't hold it in." Rosvitha covered her mouth and chuckled, trying not to appear too unrestrained. She waved her hand. It's nothing. I almost couldn't hold it in either." "Mother, why did you suddenly become so happy?" Muin asked. Rosvitha used a tissue to cover the corner of her mouth, making herself look less out of control. "Because Dad is happy, so am I." "Really, Dad, have you been looking forward to this family dinner?" Muin asked. "Leon, actually not that much." "The child is asking you a question, Leon. Aren't you looking forward to it? Aren't you happy? You wanted to see your elder daughter and I made it happen. So don't suppress your happiness, Leon. Smile, just smile," Rosvitha said, playfully nudging Leon. "Haha, I'm so happy, my dear family," Leon grinned half-heartedly. "Great, how about we have dinner like this every day from now on?" Muin suggested. Rosvitha smiled and nodded. She wouldn't veto anything that tormented Leon. Muin looked at Leon again. "Dad, is my suggestion not good? Why aren't you smiling again?" "Leon, sweet daughter, can you guess why I'm not smiling?" Vol 1ch, 20. If this kind of family dinner happened every day, Leon estimated he would live at least 30 years less. Dinner in the evening should be the best time for family members to talk and communicate, but here, it had become Rosvitha's means of torturing Leon. Moreover, with the addition of Noya, this little devil with the demeanor of an iceberg dragon girl, Leon was now in a 1-against-2 situation. This was totally impossible to fight against. He was currently figuring out how to make Muin give up this idea. At this moment, he suddenly heard Noya say, "No, Muin." Muin's small face drooped as she looked at her sister. "Why not?" "I want to study at the Dragonling department of St. High's Academy," Noya said, looking towards Rosvitha, seeking her opinion. Rosvitha was slightly surprised by her elder daughter's idea. She knew that Noya was precocious and had a good talent for magic. However, dragons typically entered the Dragonling department at around 4 or 5 years old. Noya was only a year and 2 months old this year, and in terms of height, she was much smaller than the typical 4 or 5-year-old dragon. Rosvitha put down her knife and fork, gazing at her eldest daughter and earnestly asking, "Why are you so hurried to enroll?" "Because I want to defeat more." Mori. Dragon slayers. They'd cough, cough, coughs. Leon had intended to take a sip of water to suppress his surprise, but as soon as he drank, he heard his eldest daughter saying she wanted to defeat him. What a dutiful daughter. Noya looked at Leon with disdain. Pay attention to table manners. Oh, you really act like a little adult. Leon wiped his mouth with a napkin. Dragon slayers are very brave, and Daddy is afraid you'll get hurt. You can't grow without getting hurt. All right, now they had a true little mule. Leon was about to say something, but Rosvitha interjected. I think Noya's idea is quite good. The earlier she learns skills, the earlier she can confront dragon slayers. Besides, I also think dragon slayers are just a bunch of fools. There's nothing remarkable about them. Maybe they would even be scared enough to spit out a sip of water. What do you think, Leon? Well, it seems your father has no objections either. Rosvitha smiled. St. High's Academy has 2 entrance exams every year. The next one is in a month. During this month, we need to make some preparations for enrollment. Yes, Mother. Well, let's discuss it in detail tomorrow. Let's eat for now. The 2 little ones lowered their heads and continued eating. Rosvitha glanced at the dispirited Leon and asked with concern, Why aren't you eating, Leon? Is my cooking not tasty? It's delicious, delicious. If it's delicious, eat more. You need energy after all for doing other things. This doing other things had a profound implication. Leon lowered his head, looking at the steak on his plate, unconsciously gripping the knife and fork. He could feel Rosvitha's contempt and disdain towards him. Perhaps in Rosvitha's eyes, the current Leon was just a tool for childcare, a plaything to be used at any time to vent her anger. She wanted to provide real fatherly love for the children, therefore she spared Leon's life. Leon had once said she could strip away his pride and dignity, but she couldn't extinguish his conviction. Was this just empty talk from a dragon slayer deprived of his personality? No. It was not like that. He would never allow Rosvitha to take away more from him. Silently, he cut the steak on his plate into small pieces. The flickering flame in his heart, on the verge of extinguishing, seemed to be rekindled. An hour later, the family dinner concluded. Noya took Muan back to their room, and Leon volunteered to stay behind and do the dishes. Rosvitha suggested leaving such tasks to the servants, but Leon insisted that handling post-dinner cleanup together as a couple would bring a stronger sense of family. Rosvitha didn't argue. She tied on her apron and went to the kitchen, preparing to wash the dishes. In the room, only she and Leon remained. Clear water flowed from the faucet as Rosvitha stood in front of the sink, carefully wiping each plate. Hey, when do you plan to come and help? Weren't we supposed to do this together? Before she could finish speaking, Rosvitha felt a sudden heat in her chest. Her body's sensitive nerves were immediately activated. She slightly opened her neckline and found that the dragon pattern on her chest was flickering with a dark purple light. Leon, what are you? She wanted to go out and question Leon about what he was up to, but as soon as she turned around, the reaction of the dragon pattern suddenly became even more intense. Rosvitha's legs went weak and she fell forward. Fortunately, she managed to grab onto the door frame in time, or she would have fallen there. However, even so, the reaction of the dragon pattern continued to erode her body insanity. Her vision became somewhat blurry, her mouth dry, and the desire for procreation became increasingly urgent. She swallowed hard, but in the end, she couldn't resist the increasingly strong resonance of the dragon pattern. She sat on the ground, unable to stop breathing heavily. Thud, thud. Footsteps echoed in front of her. Rosvitha looked up. He was Leon. The cold moonlight poured in from the side window, casting light on Leon's profile. He had no expression, looking down at Rosvitha with a superior gaze. But upon closer inspection, one could see beads of sweat on his forehead. Clearly, he too was struggling to resist the resonance of the dragon pattern. What are you? What do you want? Rosvitha asked intermittently. At this moment, 2 strong impulses were in fierce conflict within her consciousness. On one hand, there was wariness towards the man in front of her. On the other, there was an instinctive desire to be intimate with him. She knew that Leon was feeling the same way as her. Rosvitha, I said something to you 2 years ago in the dungeon. I don't know if you still remember. Leon slowly crouched down, aligning his eyes with Rosvitha's. He reached out, gently lifting Rosvitha's chin, observing her flushed cheeks and the ambiguous allure in her eyes. Never be alone with a rigorously trained, strongest dragon slayer, he reminded her. Rosvitha responded to his cold gaze with a smile and said, Heh, don't pretend, Leon. Your idea of using the reaction of the dragon pattern to weaken me and then escape is not bad, but I'll tell you, it's impossible. The impact of the dragon pattern is the same for both of us. Plus, you just woke up from a 2-year coma, and your strength hasn't recovered much. So even if I become weak, you can't possibly escape from here. Leon interrupted her, who said, I want to escape. What? He leaned in slightly, reached out, and lifted the weakened Rosvitha horizontally. With her silver tail hanging down, the queen leaned against the scoundrel's chest, looking at him in surprise. Leon, what are you doing? What are you doing? I did just wake up from a coma, and my strength and physical fitness haven't fully recovered, but in these days things have improved slightly. It's enough. While speaking, Leon carried the queen towards the corridor. Enough what? Leon, speak enough for what? Leon put Rosvitha on the ground at the entrance with her head facing the door and her tail towards himself. Then he crouched down and grabbed Rosvitha's tail. Don't, Leon. During the dragon pattern's resonance, a dragon's tail became an extremely sensitive area. With just a gentle squeeze, it could significantly impact the sensitive nerves of the other person. Rosvitha at this moment was like a small cat whose neck was caught by fate, lying weakly on the ground. Let go of my tail, Leon. With her remaining consciousness, Rosvitha spoke, otherwise after tonight I will definitely kill you, I swear. That's a matter for after tonight, Rosvitha. Moreover, I've never been afraid of death, you know that. Saying this, Leon increased the force on his hand. A tingling sensation instantly spread through Rosvitha's whole body from her tail. She tilted her head slightly, desperately trying to control the restlessness in her body. Dragons crave conquest, the desire to destroy everything, the yearning to control all. You are the same, Rosvitha. Since the day I woke up, you've trampled on my dignity, treating me as a plaything for amusement. So tonight, why don't we switch roles? What do you think? Have you ever been conquered, been controlled, Rosvitha? I don't think you have, but you'll soon know what that feels like. Leon pressed down on Rosvitha's tail with his knee, then slowly approached, one hand gripping her neck, the other lifting the strands of hair near her ear. He leaned in close to her flushed cheek and whispered, In addition, don't make a sound, Queen. Don't make a sound. Yes, because... Knock, knock, knock. Your Majesty, we're here to clear the table. Is it convenient now? Outside the door, the voices of the maids could be heard. Rosvitha's pupils dilated, about to call for help, but Leon tugged at her hair, forcing her to tilt her head. If you scream, I won't hesitate to open the door for them. By then they'll see the queen in this state, usually high and mighty. Anyway, I don't care. What about you, Rosvitha? Do you care? Leon, you bastard. SHH, keep it down, don't let them hear. Your Majesty, are you inside? Have you encountered any trouble? The maid asked again. Tell them you're occupied now, it's not convenient, and they can come clean up tomorrow morning. Rosvitha closed her eyes for a moment, then slowly opened them, adjusting her tone as she said, I'm fine, you can come clean up tomorrow morning. Yes, Your Majesty. Footsteps fading away. Leon smiled with satisfaction. Well, let's begin, my dear wife.